What's going on, fantasy owners? Welcome back to another episode of the Eye Test, where we simplify your process as a fantasy football manager. I'm here with Bobby Amendola and Paul Orlando, and we are scrambled eggs right now in our noggins after that NFL draft because the draft projections that we had, wrong. The rookie rankings, wrong. We kind of have to start all over. But the good news is that our rookie draft is coming up soon, and yours probably is too, and we're here to prep you for it and get you ready for that rookie draft. Before we get started on our mock draft, please go ahead and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on our social media accounts listed in the description below. You can follow us on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Follow along on Spotify and Apple as well. For all of our listeners out there, thank you. And we are going to start off with Bobby Amendola as the 1.1 pick today. And there's a special reason for that. Usually we do random orders for these mock drafts. But today, about 2 hours before we started to record, Bob decided to do an absolute blockbuster trade for the 1.1 pick, which is clearly going to be Bijan Robinson. Bob, you want to go over that trade real quick?
I will go over that trade, and I'm happy you brought it up because I'm ecstatic about it. So I traded for the 101. It's going to be Bijan Robinson, obviously there. I got Sam Howell, and I also got the 202. I gave up the 104, the 110, 2024 first next year, which is your pick, John, and you're probably going to be in the bottom quarter of the league, or at least the bottom third, I would expect. And what else did I give up? I also forget the other
You got
thing.
Sam Howell.
And the 402. So that was just a little like throw in there, but I'm super excited about it. I think it's a very fair deal, but if that 2024 first turns into, say, like Caleb Williams or something like that, you could make an argument that maybe the other guy will win the deal.
I'm not coming in last, dude. I have Jalen Hurts and Travis Kelce. Like, they would have to both get injured. All of my 8 draft picks in 2023 would have to be all busts. And that's just not going to happen. I have the 4 and the 5 and the 6, and I'm at least going to be a.
Your team really doesn't have.
I don't have receivers. So. I don't have receivers yet, but DeAndre Swift value just went up, and the Chiefs didn't get a running back, so Pacheco's fine.
No one's buying that DeAndre Swift stuff. Crowded backfield, and the Eagles don't throw the ball at all to the running backs.
Well, that's going to change.
But anyway. Again, super excited about it. Let us know what you think of that trade. Maybe we should probably post it, actually, after this. But let's just get started. Bijan Robinson, 101, obvious call. And then we get to the 102, where it starts to get more interesting and fun.
Yes, 102, super flex rookie draft. So quarterbacks are of high value here, which is why I'm going to go with Bryce Young, the number 1 quarterback taken off the board in the NFL draft. And the good news about the Panthers is they surrounded him with, I think we can say, weapons immediately. I mean, not top-tier weapons, but enough for him to show that he is a good quarterback. So we are going to know this year if Bryce Young has it or not. I think other quarterbacks that came in the league in previous years, I'm thinking of Trevor Lawrence. He wasn't on the best Jaguars team. He obviously had a very bad coach. And so we all kind of understood the situation and wanted to hold on to Trevor Lawrence. But if Bryce Young is bad his rookie year, I can see a lot of people selling him. But I'm going to go ahead and take the risk here. It's not even much of a risk.
No. I think he has definitely the safest. Yeah, I'd say he's definitely the safest pick out of the top 3 quarterbacks. So can't go wrong with safety pick there,
Who you got at the 1.3, Paul? How does it feel to be drafting this early in rookie drafts? I know you don't have a rookie pick till the 3rd round.
No, this is a nice change of pace for me. I'm not going to be picking until the middle of the 3rd round in our rookie draft, but that's okay because I turned those 1st and 2nd picks into viable players that are established in this league already. So I'm not losing much sleep over this year. Talk to me next year if my team crumbles, because then I will be very sad. But looking at this right now, I know Anthony Richardson, people are buying the hype. I know that he went 4th overall to the Colts. Yeah, because the Texans went Stroud and then
Anderson.
But, again, I'm playing it safe here. I feverishly believe that Anthony Richardson is going to bust in this league, and the Colts are going to be looking for their 7th straight quarterback in a row since Andrew Luck left. So I'm going to take C.J. Stroud here. I know that he doesn't have many weapons. I'm not really worried about this. Is more of a long-term play, if anything. And if you have at least one star quarterback that you are comfortable with, don't be afraid to grab Stroud here.
Yeah, for sure. I think although he doesn't necessarily have the weapons right now, in terms of dynasty, he is the safer play because let's not get so overwhelmed with situation here with him landing on the Texans. We all knew before the draft that C.J. Stroud was arguably the number 1 quarterback even. I mean, there were arguments for both Bryce Young and C.J. Stroud. So C.J. Stroud, I would agree with that, Paul. I think 1-3 is solid for Stroud. All right, Bob, 1-4. Are you going to go with Anthony Richardson here? I feel like you're not.
So we're not, just want to preface this before I make this pick, we're not making these selections as like a team building thing. Like we're just drafting the player we think should be picked at that pick. And with that said, I'm going to go with Jahmyr Gibbs here. And I would go with Gibbs here regardless of whatever quarterback was on the board, personally. And I think the reason I'm saying that is because the landing spot with the Lions is about as ideal of a landing spot as you want it for Gibbs. He got tremendous draft capital. The statistics of running backs like hitting in that tier is very high. So I really like it. I think they're going to use him in a lot of ways, kind of maybe in like not calling him CMC, but he could be utilized in a CMC type role. And I just would rather take that upside than play it safe with. Actually, you're not even playing it safe here with Anthony Richardson. So just give me Gibbs.
So there, I saw this really awesome fact about Jahmyr Gibbs when I was writing my article. Go check that out. It is on the Detroit Lions and their fantasy landscape on Belly Up Sports. But so Alvin Kamara in his rookie year saw, I think, 27% of the rushes and 15% of the target shares and finished as the RB9. Christian McCaffrey in his rookie year saw 21% of the rushes and like 15% of the, or no, 28% of the rushes and like 16% of the target share out of the backfield, finished as the RB3. And there's absolutely no reason that Jahmyr Gibbs doesn't see that volume as well this year. So it would not surprise me if we see RB1 numbers from Gibbs immediately.
I agree, and everyone was definitely shivering in their boots. Is that the right phrase? Shivering,
shaking in their boots.
Shiver me timbers.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Everyone was shaking in their boots when Gibbs got picked up by the Lions because Swift was still a Lion, but him getting traded brings Gibbs right back into. Honestly, it moves him up in the first round because Gibbs was towards the middle, and now he's on the back end of the front part of the draft. So I agree, Gibbs at the 1-4 is the smart choice. I will say that Anthony Richardson probably is a smart choice for the 1-5 here, but you could argue starting the wide receiver wave here, but Anthony Richardson is going to be a starter week 1, most likely, unless Gardner Minshew beats him out in the offseason. But even then, for dynasty purposes, Anthony Richardson will be on the Colts long-term. Gardner Minshew will not. And Anthony Richardson does have high upside, which I know all three of us are not super keen on leaning on. However, it is a rookie draft. We want to play to win here. Although I think JSN's ceiling is super high, it is a super flex league, which is why Anthony Richardson should go at the 1-5 of your rookie draft.
Mm-hmm. There's no question that the 3 top quarterbacks should go in the top 5. If they drop out of the top 5, then your league doesn't know how to draft. The only people that should be going ahead of those guys are Gibbs and Bijan.
Yes, and then I would, depending on your actual team, for the viewers watching this on YouTube or listening to us on Apple and Spotify, follow us. If you have established quarterbacks, you may not need to go Anthony Richardson here. It may be the smart move to go JSN. So keep that in mind for your rookie draft. But in terms of rankings, we're going to view Anthony Richardson as the 1-5 here.
Yeah. And so I think that was a pick. If you didn't take Anthony Richardson there, I was certainly taking him at 6. But what I'm going to do now is kind of shake things up a bit. I love JSN as a talent. I really do. And I think that he's definitely the best receiver in this draft class.
Oh, God.
But I'm a homer, baby. I'm
Dude,
a homer. So I'm taking Zay Flowers here.
Come on. You can't be actually serious with that.
I'm being very serious. Let me explain to you why, Bob.
Okay.
Lamar Jackson is inked 5 years. Finally, he is the franchise quarterback. But what I love the most is that we actually have an offensive coordinator in Baltimore now, one who knows how to spread the ball around, one who knows how to run a pro-style offense. And I think Todd Monken came in and looked at DeCosta, and he said, if Flowers is there, get him. Or else we would have gone corner, because corner is definitely a much more needed position on the Ravens right now. And Zay Flowers with Lamar Jackson can attack all 3 levels of the defense. I mean, you guys watch Zay Flowers tape. The dude is a stud. He's a nightmare. He's amazing. And so am I being a bit of a homer here? Yes. But what scares me about JSN is the landing spot. He went to Seattle. He's going to be competing for targets with DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, 2 very, very, very capable wide receivers in this league. I think they both didn't they finish like back-to-back this year? They were like the wide receiver 13 and 14 or something like that.
Something, yeah. They were very close in rankings this season. It was kind of weird, but funny.
Yeah.
So, but basically,
add that with Ken Walker and Zach Charbonnet, a run-heavy offense by nature. I just don't think JSN is going to get the volume, where I think Zay Flowers is more of an immediate impact on your team, but Lockett's probably not going to be there long term, so JSN will definitely slide into that role. I don't know if they paid DK or if they even paid him yet. But
yeah, I believe
that's
they
what worries
have.
me about JSN.
So you're pretty much just worried about JSN's rookie year. What about the years when Lockett and Metcalf are gone? I feel like JSN's going to be amazing.
Yeah, I'm sure he will do very well, but Geno Smith was a great story. Let's see if he can do it again this year.
Yeah, I think that's a good argument to make, because, I mean, DK's going to be there long term. He's young. Lockett's the guy that you're kind of betting on him leaving after this season, so JSN can kind of take over that role and maybe ascend. But I think I kind of agree with you to an extent that Zay Flowers will probably be more of an immediate impact as opposed to JSN. But I still think Flowers at 6 is bold, but you're a Ravens fan. I'm not surprised.
I'm here to shake things up. I'm here to keep you guys on your toes.
I like it.
Well, whoever's the 7th spot gets an absolute steal of the draft. So, Bob?
Actually, no.
Israel Abanikanda, backup running back for the Jets.
Actually, I'm going to go. No, I mean, obviously, I'm going JSN here. He would have been my pick at the 1-6. So this doesn't need much explanation. You have pretty much the consensus wide receiver 1 of this class falling to you at the 1-7. It's a no-brainer.
Yep. And for the 1-8, I will go QJ. So we got quite a wide receiver run here. I'm interested for what the 1-8's going to be.
So
yeah, go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, before we move on, I need a little explanation over. Not that I don't think it's not an egregious pick by any means or anything like that, but why QJ over, say, Jordan Addison, who probably will have a larger role this season and who's in a more just has less of a crowded wide receiver room.
Well, I don't know if I agree with the crowded wide receiver room, but T-Hawk and Justin Jefferson, they take a lot of targets on the Vikings. I mean, I remember looking back at games last year where T-Hawk would have like 14 targets and Justin Jefferson would have, 16 targets. The Vikings throw the ball a lot, which could benefit Addison, but I just don't think that the Vikings, a playoff team, are going to change their target share for a rookie wide receiver. So KJ Osborne, he's out of the picture. I can see Addison taking over Osborne's role.
Yeah.
But, that's we'll call it target guy number 3 on the Vikings. So, because Addison's not going to outperform or get more targets than T-Hawk and Jettas, and I just don't think the Vikings are going to switch up their scheme just because they drafted Addison.
No, I agree. So you think QJ will have more of an opportunity this season?
Yes, because injuries are pretty highly likely for Keenan Allen and Mike Williams, and I'm not sure if the trade rumors have been squashed yet, but Keenan Allen may not be a Charger by the season or by the end of the season. So I think that the chances that QJ hops up into the wide receiver 2 role, I think that he has a higher chance of hopping into that role faster than Addison can hop into a wide receiver 2 role on the Vikings. And by wide receiver, I mean, I'm including tight ends here.
Yeah, pass catcher, you mean.
Yeah, pass catcher.
Okay.
Thank you. Yeah. So that's
Got it.
And then, the whole thing with Johnston was that I was losing faith in Johnson leading up to the draft, but the fact that he did get drafted into the first round, that changed my opinion. It did. And the Chargers are a high-powered offense. So and he's going to have the same quarterback for a longer time than Addison will. Addison's going to have to work with Kirk Cousins, then he's going to have to work with a new quarterback, and we don't know who that is. So I feel like QJ is a safer pick.
Good point. I like that.
All right, Paul, 1-9. Are you sticking with the wide receivers here? Or are you switching things up again?
Yeah, I think after this pick is where it gets a little fuzzy for me.
Yeah,
so I think Jordan Addison, after the 9th pick in your rookie draft, after Jordan Addison, who I'm going to grab here, it really gets a little tricky. I think the first 9 picks are kind of rock solid on who you want, and then it really just comes down to team need, or you start playing the position game here a little bit. You can see on the screen you got a lot of tight ends, some quarterbacks, some running backs, so it gets a little fuzzy here. But I think Jordan Addison in Minnesota, I think he's going to do great there. I know what John was just saying pretty much summed it all up, but I still think they throw the ball a bunch. Dalvin Cook's on his way out. Probably not this year, next year. Or they might trade him. They could trade him this year. I wouldn't be surprised if they do.
Yeah.
But I think Jordan Addison's is the clear pick here. There is no one else I'd rather have right now than Jordan Addison from the guys that are left.
All right, Bob. 110.
110. So I think, like Paul said, this is kind of where it falls off. I think you actually could make an argument for other players before this pick, depending on the construction of your league, like your scoring settings. If there's a tight end premium, like maybe you could get Kincaid and Mayer going before the 110. But if we're just assuming there's no tight end premium, I'm going to go Devin Chain here. And I'm going to go him here because of the opportunity. Miami's backfield is still a huge question mark. He got pretty good draft capital. He was drafted in the 3rd round, and he just kind of fits what they're trying to do, which is just speed on offense with Hill and Waddle. And I really like the landing spot. I love the opportunity here for him. Maybe it's a little high with a guy like, I think Kincaid, you can make an argument for Kincaid here as well, but I just don't put that much value in tight ends, especially in a non-tight ends premium league.
Yeah, for sure. Tight ends in the first round are risky because the chances that a rookie tight end produces is very low their rookie year. Long term, it may be the good pick, but I'm a big fan of trading for tight ends and finding that well-established stud as opposed to drafting them. So Devin Achane goes 110. I do have a running back that I like more than Achane, but since he was already picked, if I was the 111, I would continue on with the running backs here, and I would go with Kendre Miller.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I like his situation too. So again, this was someone that I had ranked in like the mid-second round before the draft, but he got drafted by the Saints. Kamara may be suspended, which means that he would fall in immediately to the running back 2 role. And then in terms of dynasty, Jamal Williams, he's not going to be a Saint long term. So
He
Jamal's on
did
his way.
just sign as a free agent, though. That's the only thing. But I think it was like a short deal. It was like a 2 or 3 year deal.
Exactly, and there's probably some type of opt out there. I can see the concerns there because if a rookie running back doesn't see a starting role by year 2, the odds are not looking good for him to be a pretty good performer on your fantasy team. So it is a gamble, but let's be honest, all late first-round picks are most likely gambles. So I'm going to go with Kendre Miller here. He had an outstanding final year at TCU, and I think that if Kamara is suspended, that's the one thing that stinks about
It's the
having
big thing.
rookie drafts this early is we don't know every situation for a team yet. But it's a gamble.
Yeah, I think like if we knew that Alvin Kamara was suspended right now, I think it would easily be Miller over Chain. And he may even go a little earlier, honestly, compared to, maybe one or two of the wide receivers. But
Yeah.
the fact that it's still up in the air if Kamara is going to be suspended or not, because if he's not suspended, then you could be wasting an early second, late first if you're banking on Kamara being suspended so Miller could get his
And
opportunity.
they did sign Jamal Williams for 3 years. So
I agree.
he's inked through 2026. So it's not just a one and done. But yeah, contract, yeah.
Inked, though. Yeah, NFL players hate contracts.
Especially for running backs.
Yeah, right, exactly.
Williams is only, I
I mean,
think,
Jamal Williams
27
could
years
retire
old.
after this year, for all we know. He's 42.
Yeah, Frank Gore.
I thought he was like
well,
45.
I'm going to stop the running back parade here, and I'm going to take someone who wished he went in the real first round of the NFL draft, but he didn't, and that's Will Levis. Whenever it's this late in the first round, you can get
Smart.
most likely starting quarterback for a team. At least he's going to get starting opportunities next year, depending on what's going on with Tannehill. I think that Will Levis is a very easy pick for me here to round out the first round.
Yeah, a lot of upside for Will Levis, although it doesn't look like the NFL teams thought so, considering that he slid that low. But I think that you are foolish in a Superflex league to pass on the number 4 quarterback on the last pick of the first round. So I agree with the Will Levis pickup. He may not start the first half of the season, but Tannehill could be on his way out. So there is a high chance that he could be the starter
just a perfect
of the Titans.
storm. After the first 8 or 9 picks, I mean, you're looking at teams who don't need a quarterback. So after they passed up on him, and I don't think it was really a knock on Will Levis, even though it kind of was. But there was just so much talent on the defensive side of the ball, especially in this draft, and skill set position receivers, or like Bijan Robinson, guys like that. So Will Levis just fell into a very unfortunate situation, and we'll see what he does in Tennessee. But I think he will definitely at least be the starting quarterback next year.
I agree with you, Paul. I think that saying it was a perfect storm is actually true. I know, Bob, you think that it was a slight on Will Levis, but Paul brings up a good point where those teams did not need quarterbacks.
Pick, nobody needed a quarterback.
No one's going to draft a backup quarterback in the first round.
What makes me concerned about Will Levis? I'm not saying he's not he's a good value here at the 112 because he is going to start at some point. You don't trade up in the second round to not see what you have in a guy like Will Levis, but to say that there weren't a couple teams that, weren't going to start him immediately, obviously, but a team like the Vikings, Seahawks even, they didn't take a shot on him in the first round. Obviously they addressed other needs, but if they really felt like Will Levis could be the guy, they probably would have taken him then, So I'm not in on Will Levis, but here, from a dynasty perspective at the 112, he is a good value play because he is going to start at some point. Maybe when Tannehill gets hurt, if he gets hurt this year, but 100% next season.
So before we go ahead and start our second round, for our listeners on Apple and Spotify, I'll do a quick review of the first round. Starting off at the 1-1, obvious Bijan Robinson, Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Jahmyr Gibbs at the 1-4, Anthony Richardson.
Great pick.
Zay
Great
Flowers.
little bit of a reach.
Jackson Smith and Jigba at the 1-7, steal. Quentin Johnston at the 1-8, Jordan Addison, Devin Achane at the 1-10, Kendre Miller, and then to round off the first round, Will Levis. So with the 2-1, we go to Bobby.
Will Levis finally makes it into the first round. Just not
right. We should might let him know. Don't worry, Willie. We got you.
All right, but we're kicking off the second round now, and I'm going to start it off with a position that hasn't been drafted yet. And again, like I said earlier, this could have been a guy in certain formats that could go in the first round, but he falls to the 2-1 here. I'm taking Dalton Kincaid. In my opinion, a great landing spot for him in Buffalo. He has amazing receiving capability, and you just watch his film, he moves like a wide receiver. He looks like a guy that could come in and immediately produce. Not saying he will, because historically tight ends don't really produce in their first year, but if I'm going to bet on a guy producing in his first year as a tight end, it's going to be with a guy like Josh Allen at quarterback. So Dalton Kincaid is my 2-1. Honestly, I think he's the best player on the board right now.
Yep, and I'm gonna go ahead at the 2-2 and draft the guy that has just slid his way into the second round, and that's Zach Charbonnet. Now, before everyone freaks out, I think that, yes, landing spot does not look good. Does not look good for Zach Charbonnet. He was looking at possibly the 1-6, 1-7 for rookie drafts before the NFL draft. He slid back into the beginning part of the second round. And who knows how this will change for the next couple months as we head closer to the season. However, let's not just completely forget about a player's talent after the draft. Situations change year in and year out. Is Kenny Walker going to be on the Seahawks for another 2-3 years? Yes. But the Seahawks have been, they did share the ball quite a bunch in terms of the rushing game, and they didn't really have the running backs to do so. They had DJ Dallas, they had Rashad Penny, who was always injured. So last year, Kenny Walker, he was the only running back. They still tried to utilize those bad bench running backs, but Zach Charbonnet is better than DJ
Travis
Dallas.
Homer,
and then,
another league
who was the other guy? Clark or something like that?
Travis Homer was the league slut.
Travis Homer.
So Zach Charbonnet is better than those guys. So let's not just completely throw his talent out of the window. He had an amazing career in UCLA. He was drafted on a team that really values running the ball, like Paul said earlier. So Zach Charbonnet in the beginning part of the second round, I like it. It's not the sexiest pick because you're probably not going to see him reach any type of ceiling his rookie season. However, if for some reason Kenny Walker does get hurt, Zach Charbonnet is someone I could trust to take over that role. So I would be happy with that pick.
I
at the
just
2-2.
think if you're a Ken Walker owner, I feel so sorry for you, man. Like, it is just so unfortunate what happened. Charbonnet is a real talent. I think everybody was hoping he'd land on the Chiefs or he'd land on the Eagles before they made the Swift move, something like that where he could get a full workhorse opportunity. But here he is in Seattle with Ken Walker, and it's just a bad situation, John. I'm not saying it's a bad pick, but it's not. I would not have picked him here. And so I'm going to continue the tight end train here after Bob picks Dalton Kincaid. I'm going to pick who I think should have been the first tight end drafted this year, and that's Michael Mayer. And the big reason for me taking him here is he goes to ultimate check down, ultimate safety blanket, ultimate tight end everything, Jimmy Garoppolo and Josh McDaniels. And we saw it in New England. Rob Gronkowski, they love tight ends there. Josh McDaniels' offense is very tight end heavy. Jimmy G loves the tight ends. Michael Mayer here, I think that he can easily be a top 8 tight end immediately.
Yeah, I think out of the rookie tight ends, I think I like Mayer more than Kincaid here too. We didn't see much of tight end usage on the Bills. That could be because it was Dawson Knox being the one to catch the ball. But it seemed like they really only utilized the tight end in the red zone. I think Michael Mayer could be like that reception tight end guy, which is huge for PPR leagues, where I I see one, Kincaid does have to compete for the tight end 1 role. So he's got to beat out Knox, which isn't the hardest thing to do, but it is competition nonetheless. And Knox is about to reach his peak in terms of his career. So Knox may take a leap. But Mayer does slide into that tight end role almost immediately by week 1. So in terms of rookie production, I do think Mayer's the play. Long term, it probably is Kincaid.
But
I agree. I do like the Mayer pick.
the Bills are going to have Knox and Kincaid. Knox isn't old. It's not like it's like Dallas Clark.
Knox is...
But Knox's contract is going to be up in a year or two, so it could be Kincaid in a year or two.
Knox is kind of, let's not treat Dawson Knox like he's this like stud tight end or anything like that. He's one of those guys that's kind of just, he's more of a name, and plus he's on the Bills, so everyone's like, oh, let's draft him this year because he has Josh Allen as his quarterback, and then he puts up more 5-point games, and he puts up like
was not the tight
10-point
games. Buffalo Bills.
So
I don't think we would be talking about him at all.
100%. So it's not going to take much for Kincaid. I like Mayer a lot too, but it's not going to take much for Kincaid to take over for Dawson Knox. But moving on now, we got the 2-4 now, and this is where, for me at least, it really starts to get, like, we talked about how after the 1-9, it like kind of breaks off a little bit. Here in particular, it breaks off for me because Will Levis, Kincaid, Mayer, and Charbonnet are guys that I think should be drafted in that range. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense to me. Like here, now it's a bunch of guys that you're just taking dart throws at pretty much. And my gut tells me to go with Josh Downs because of the opportunity on the Colts. And he's kind of like a security blanket in a sense as a wide receiver. And that's going to help a lot when Anthony Richardson inevitably starts. So it wouldn't surprise me if he's like a guy that catches 5 to 6 passes a game as a rookie. He may not have that elite upside with Anthony Richardson as his quarterback. And plus, you know, the Colts offense just always seems to be mediocre somehow. So that's just who I think is probably the best pick here. A guy who will have more opportunity than a lot of these other guys on the list right now.
Yeah, and I like the Josh Downs pick too. He can pretty much slide into the wide receiver 2 role almost immediately now that Paris Campbell is gone. So Josh Downs has a rookie quarterback to work with for the next 3-4 years, possibly even longer if they're both successful, which is great for a rookie receiver. I think what really messed up, or not messed up, but kept Michael Pittman from reaching that full potential. You know, Pittman was always good. He was a starter in your fantasy league every week. The problem with him not having those like consistent 20-point games, 30-point breakout games was because I think of the quarterback carousel he had to deal with. He could never figure out that chemistry. So the Colts receivers are in luck here if Anthony Richardson is good. I'm sure they're very happy with the Anthony Richardson pick, much happier than we are. So yeah, Josh Downs, and they got Shane Steichen as their head coach, who's just an offensive guru. So I think that
oh yeah,
I mean he is. He got.
Where'd he come from? Wait, where'd he come from again?
Super Bowl contending team.
Oh, yeah. What was the name of that team? The one that lost, right?
It was the Chiefs or the Eagles. But, yeah, either way, the Colts the Colts head coach, Shane Steichen, helped the offense put up 34 points or however many points we put up in the Super Bowl. So, yeah, Josh Downs, great pick. I'm going to go ahead and take Jonathan Mingo here. Similar situation to Josh Downs. However, on paper right now, he will be the wide receiver 3 on the Panthers. However, the competition is not that hard to slide into the wide receiver 2, and I'll even go as far as to say wide receiver 1 role on the Panthers at some point. DJ Chark doesn't scare me. He probably doesn't scare Mingo. And Adam Thielen, although he is old, Adam Thielen does find a way to stay healthy and play almost every game for the most part of his career. So Adam Thielen, he's not going to be a long-term play on the Panthers. With wide receivers, you have the luxury to hold on to them for a long time because you generally don't see a peak in a wide receiver till they're about like 26. So Jonathan Ming, or really like year 3 of their career. So not necessarily an age, but year 3 is when you really start to tell if a wide receiver is going to be good or not. So we'll get to watch Jonathan Mingo work with Bryce Young for plenty of years. So yeah, similar situation with Josh Downs, where they each get a rookie quarterback, and Jonathan Mingo does
do
get
like
the better
Mingo
quarterback
a lot this
here.
year, specifically because his only competition is DJ Chark and Adam Thielen, who, let's be honest, I think are a little past their prime. Chark was a good story a couple years ago for the Jags, but he has really, really cooled down. So, yes. And so this
Very
usually
uninspiring.
Here, I mean, I got to go with Rashee Rice here. Whenever you get a wide receiver who has Patrick Mahomes throwing him the ball, I mean, just sign me up. I don't care that they like it might be.
It's the Sky Moore trap. It's the Sky Moore trap, bro.
Sky Moore was drafted at the 1-4.
Was he really?
Yeah, he was drafted before Olave in my league, Garrett Wilson.
Oh my God! Wow.
Christian Watson.
Damn. I wasn't doing Dynasty this time last year, so I had no idea.
What's considered
That's
a trap
crazy.
because it's the Chiefs and they throw the ball all over the field. They get everybody involved. I mean, I'll take Rashee Rice over Marvin Mims, who has Russell Wilson's dookie arm thrown to him. I think that he's just best case scenario, you get the wide receiver 1 on the most potent offense in football. Worst case scenario, you get a guy who will score 4 or 5 touchdowns for you.
Yeah.
Just randomly when you hopefully need it most. Like, yeah, right. All in
the playoffs when your fantasy football's over.
So, give me Rashee Rice. We'll see what the kid can do.
Okay.
And you got to think like with Juju gone and Hardman gone, you got Kadarius Toney and Sky Moore as the wide receiver. One of them will probably be in the slot, which means that Rashee Rice can be that outside deep ball threat for Mahomes.
Don't forget about Justin Ross.
Everyone is high on Justin Ross. You're right. I did forget about him.
Don't forget. I mean, it's a long shot, but there's like the Chiefs. One of these guys is probably going to be fantasy relevant. Just one, though, outside of Travis Kelce. Yeah, so good luck guessing.
But hey, for a 2-6, a dart throw to Patrick Mahomes, I mean, that's probably the safest dart throw in the second round.
Yeah, I agree. Right, I agree. 2-6? Okay.
2-7.
2-7. Okay, so this guy I've seen go actually a little earlier than here, so I think this is a good value right here, especially considering the situation he got into. And I actually found out he had the highest elusiveness rating out of all the running backs this year.
Oh, I know who it is.
And that is Roschon Johnson, Bijan Robinson's backup. And I'm a Texas fan, so I actually watched a few games of these guys. And Roschon Johnson is a converted – I forgot if it's a converted quarterback or a converted wide receiver, but regardless, just a little fun facts there. He's turned into a pretty good running back. And I just mentioned the elusiveness rating. He ends up on the Bears, where his competition is Deontay Foreman on a 1-year deal and Khalil Herbert, who we have no idea if he could actually handle a full workload. Roschon Johnson has the makeup to be a starting running back. Not saying he'll be getting 20-plus touches a game or anything like that, but when you watch the tape, he looks really good, and it would not surprise me if he ends up being the starting running back mid-season or towards the end of the season for the Bears.
Yeah, if this guy wasn't Bijan's backup, he would be drafted so much earlier in rookie drafts, and he would probably be so much better in college.
Yep,
in terms 100%. Of production. But yes, his tape is amazing. I mean, what a running back duo for the Texas team. And he lands in a very good spot with the Bears, who ran the ball quite a bunch last year. And like you said, Bob, he has the potential to be running back 1 by the end of the year, his rookie season, which is huge. We saw that with Kenny Walker and Dameon Pierce were those 2 running backs last year that did not start out as running back 1s, but passed the eye test and finished as the running back ones on their respective
Rashawn
teams.
Johnson had the same elusiveness rating as all the girls in college. They were just dodging me left and right.
Nice.
I was waiting.
That was a good.
That was a good so long to say that. I was like, it's not going to be funny anymore because it's too far gone. But I said it anyway.
Yeah, it's like Paul. We're already in the third round, dude. He was drafted a whole round ago. All right, so
do it, John. Do it.
This
is
a
weird
tough.
pick. It's a weird pick.
I'm not going Marvin Mims here. I'm not sold on Marvin Mims.
Dude, Marvin Mims, I think is going to be pretty good.
I think what I would do here at the 2-8 guys is let's roll with Jalen Hyatt. Let's roll with Jalen Hyatt. The Giants need a deep ball threat on their team. The bad news is that the Giants do not draft good wide receivers. Could this be the one? I'm not sure. However,
I doubt
Jalen Hyatt played great with Hendon Hooker, and Daniel Jones is...
He's got an arm.
Not Hendon Hooker.
Has an arm. I'm trying to make an argument here.
Arms,
Daniel Jones has a deep ball.
He does have an arm.
He's got 2 arms, but he's got one very good arm that's good for deep balls here. I think I'm going to go Jalen Hyatt here. And, again, late second round we're entering into. Jalen Hyatt is the best wide receiver out of the ones on the board right now. So if I weren't to go Jalen Hyatt, I would probably go one of the running backs on the board. But Jalen Hyatt was a very, very good wide receiver. So I would take that chance with Jalen Hyatt. I mean, he has the potential to beat out all the wide receivers on that team. So let's take that risk here.
I do agree with you to an extent. I think Jalen Hyatt probably does have the most opportunity to become the wide receiver 1 on his team. But he's kind of a one-trick pony. So I think it's not risky taking him here, but I just don't think he's a complete wide receiver.
Yeah, definitely some Gabe Davis vibes coming from Jalen Hyatt.
Yeah, that's a good. I like that actually. That's good.
All right, Paulie, you're up.
So I do like Jalen Hyatt, but I'm going to go a different route here just to give some perspective. I'm going to get Tyjae Spears here as more of a long-term play. And it might not even be more long-term than people think.
I like that.
So do I.
Derrick Henry's Frank Gore, bro.
Yeah, I know, but that's exactly.
Yeah, but maybe not on the Titans.
The Titans
might get
start
traded.
Yeah, true.
2-5, 2-6, and they just kind of chalk it and trade Derrick Henry while they still can, and then it just opens up Tyjae Spears to handle that workload in the backfield. Pair him with Ryan Tannehill, who's got a pea shooter, and then the unexperienced Will Levis if he's starting. I think they're going to still lean on the run game, even with Spears in the backfield. So I like this pick. And don't get me wrong, it's definitely a future pick. This isn't. I'm not saying lock Spears in as your RB2 after this rookie draft, but let's see what happens. Because I don't know if Derrick Henry's a Titan at the start of 2024.
We don't. I agree. I think it's definitely a good future pick. If the Titans trade Derrick Henry and stick to like their philosophy of running the ball as much as they do, then Tyjae Spears could end up being a home run this late in the draft.
All right, we got 3 picks left in the second round. Let's round it off, boys.
Okay, so I think he's fallen too far, and we talked about him already a little bit. I'm going Marvin Mims here. I think he was drafted as early as he was, earlier than a lot of people anticipated for a reason. Paul, you brought up an amazing point. This is Sean Payton's first draft with the Broncos, and he selected Marvin Mims earlier than a lot of people had him. I think there's a reason for that. Eventually, they're going to trade either Jerry Jeudy or Cortland Sutton. My bet would be Cortland Sutton because someone will probably be able to meet the asking price as opposed to Jerry Jeudy, who I think they're asking for like a first-round pick or something like that for. So Jerry Jeudy, Marvin Mims, Marvin Mims' tape is really good. I think he could immediately slide into that wide receiver 2 role on the Broncos. And honestly, Jerry Jeudy hasn't shown us that much in his career up to this point. So it wouldn't surprise me, not this year maybe, but in a year or two, if Marvin Mims is the wide receiver 1
Wouldn't shock
on
me
the
either.
Denver Broncos.
Yeah, but it wouldn't shock me either.
Yeah.
A little spicy, I know.
No, it makes sense. All right, so then for the 211 here, I mean,
Yeah, but that one dude's got a
it
sick
is super
name.
flex, guys.
You got it.
It is super flex.
I know what
So-
you're going to do.
I'm going to think long term here in the second round. Let's go ahead and get Hendon Hooker.
Okay. I think this is where he should be drafted about.
Dude had, yeah, I agree. We were super high on him before the draft. I would have liked to see him land on other teams, like maybe a team with an older quarterback where we could see Hendon Hooker find a way into the starting role a little bit sooner. But it does look like Hendon Hooker is going to need a little bit more time to recover from his ACL injury. And if Hendon Hooker does get the chance to start, he is on a high-powered offense with absolute weapons. So let's go with Hendon Hooker here at the 211. It's a long-term play, but it's a super flex league. You need quarterback depth, and Hendon Hooker is the last quarterback, the only quarterback in the second round, and he should really be the only, or I guess he should be the last of the quarterbacks that you should be targeting in your whole rookie draft. That actually means something. I know.
Come on. Stetson Bennett, dude. Come on. You got to target him later. Like maybe 4th or 5th round.
I know.
Like he ended up on the Rams, so maybe he gets an opportunity with Stafford being,
Yeah.
old.
Yeah. No, you're right.
Maybe.
I mean, that's good. That's a good point. It's just the Rams don't have the weapons to make Stetson Bennett look good. Whereas
I
Hendon
agree.
Hooker, if he were to find himself as a starting quarterback, he's got Amon-Ra to throw to and a good set of running backs to hand it off to. So he can at least show that he can win games, which is important for a quarterback keeping their job.
All right, I'm going to take us home.
Paul,
Tank
take us
Bigsby,
home.
That is a really awesome name, but it's not who I'm taking here. I'm going to take Jalen Reed. And for the simple reason is it's the new Jordan Love era in Green Bay. I don't know if you guys saw, but I think they extended him, even though it was only an additional year or something on his contract. But yeah, but they at least made some
they picked up
commitment
an
to Jordan
option,
Love.
I think.
And so it's going to be Christian Watson. Anybody? I mean, they got rid of Lazard. Cobb's gone. Is there Romeo? Yeah.
Romeo
Dobbs,
Dobbs kind of didn't prove
Dobbs.
anything.
I'm still going to take Jalen Reed here. I'm just curious to see what Jordan Love does. And if Jalen Reed and Jordan Love hit it off, this could be, a really sneaky pick. Don't get me wrong. It's a complete dart throw. But I'm just saying, if Jordan Love and Jalen Reed hit it off, who knows? Is it Jaden or Jalen?
Yeah, I like the Jaden Reed pick. I think
Oh, my bad, Jaden.
it's Jaden, but that's okay. We knew who you were talking about.
Yeah.
I think there's some running backs here that I like at the end of the second round, but finding them in the third round is there's really no difference. Early third, late second, it's practically the same. We'll probably see these players switch back
Jaden
and
Reed
forth
was
throughout the offseason
pick. I thought he
as
went
we get
later
closer
than
to
that,
the
but
season.
They got him in the second round.
Yeah, which is nice draft capital. Lots of young receivers out there in Green Bay. Honestly, just a young team besides their running backs. But as soon as Aaron Jones is gone, we got A.J. Dillon running the show. It's going to be a young
John's
team.
still holding out hope that A.J. Dillon returns to value.
Hey, at the end of the day, I traded away Gabe Davis for A.J. Dillon straight up.
Which is fine. Yeah.
So second round consists of going first, Dalton Kincaid, Zach Charbonnet, Michael Mayer, Josh Downs at the 2-4. We got Jonathan Mingo, Rashee Rice, Rashawn Johnson, Jalen Hyatt, Tajay Spears at the 2-9, Marvin Mims, Hendon Hooker, Jalen Reed. Looks pretty good. Yeah, you messed me up. Jaden Reed. So that does it for our first two rounds of our mock draft. Next week, guys, we are going to be doing sleeper picks for the third and fourth rounds. We're going to pick about 3 guys in the third and fourth round that are just absolute crazy value that we think don't even belong in that round. People that you guys can snag. For those people that traded away all their first and second round picks, you still have hope. And we're going to make that easy for you. We're going to simplify your fantasy process by showing you which players have absolute sleeper potential and boom potential in those later rounds of your rookie draft, because they are arguably just as important as the first and second rounds. You can certainly find some prizes. Yeah. Go ahead and
most won't hit, but maybe all you need is hope. One will.
All you need is
That's
hope.
all you need.
That's all you need is one.
Yeah, all you need is Yep, exactly. So go ahead and subscribe to us, guys, on YouTube. If you like this video, press that like button. You can go ahead and follow us on our social media accounts listed below in the description. We appreciate you guys viewing. Go ahead and share this with your friends because rookie drafts are amongst us. We have officially entered Dynasty Mock Draft season. Thank you, everybody.
Tonight.
See you next week.
Peace.